This week I learned I am so glad that I got married before this whole online dating thing became really, really big. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, the last for the month of August. And this month really just zipped on by, and this week just kind of zipped on by. It was that crunch right before a vacation where you're trying to get everything done at work, trying to get everything at home done so you can kind of enjoy your time off. I got lots of things going on. So it's kind of a working vacation. We'll talk about that as it goes here. We're going to begin like always, guys. Let's talk about the week that was and the week that will be by getting into what am I reading. Well, I did finish The Darkness That Comes Before. I did a full review for it on the channel. Now, what's unusual about that is, one, I do book reviews less and less these days because they seem to be the material my audience has the least amount of interest in, which is unfortunate when your name is Mike's Book Reviews. But hey, here we are. But it was one of those I was excited to talk about. And a lot of times when it's a book I really, really enjoy, I'm going to do a book review for it because I've got so many things to say. But I usually wait a little bit. Like if you go back and you watch my reviews for Shogun, you go back and you watch my reviews for Blackwater, two of my contenders for Book of the Year so far, I waited a week or two after I finished those, so I was a little more reserved. I did the review for this like 24 hours after I finished because I had so many things to say. So I was very excited to talk about it. And it's really good, guys. I like this a lot. This feels to me like finding this hidden gem that I've been looking for a while. And I can't say it's a hidden gem because I say it's a popular series on these BookTube streets. It seems like a lot of people have kind of discovered it since BookTube became a thing. It was one of those, I won't lie, I had heard of before I started a BookTube channel, but I'd never gotten a ton of recommendations for it. I actually discovered it when I did a Google search for books like The First Law by Joe Abercrombie. This was one of the ones that came up. And I started reading the Reddit threads about it. People either absolutely loved it or absolutely hated it. Well, as far as one book goes, I absolutely loved this book. So I'm not going to regurgitate everything I said in that review because, hey, I do want you guys to watch the reviews here, but I did like it very much. I hate to spoil this for you guys, but I'm pretty sure it's my book of the month for August because it was just so much, and I want to say like fun, because fun is not what I'd use to say that series, but to me it was such a learning experience. There were so many things I picked up in that series, learning about that world that Mr. Baker created that I just couldn't get enough of. And it's already got me being like, how can I alter my schedule so I don't have to wait till November to read The Warrior Prophet? So I've got some things in the work there. But again, if you want my full thoughts on that, I did a full 20-minute long video talking about that. Some patrons are actually talking about us getting together on a voice chat on the Discord and kind of talking spoilers for it because there's so many things to unwrap. And it's very, very exciting to find that new community of people to talk to. They're just excited that you're reading this series that they've been trying to get you to read for years and years. After that, guys, big change of pace. I started reading Ordinary Grace. That is book number 2, I guess you'd say, in our *𝕠𝕠𝕤𝕤 series with Brian over at Bell2, Dr. Philip Chase, and John over at Talking Story. And it's that's a book for the third quarter of the year. We'll get together, I think, the second week of September. I think we're going to be on, I think, Philip's channel. We're going to be talking about it. But we all mostly started reading around the same time. I think the other 3 are waiting until the 1st. I was like, I'm not going to start another book because then I won't be able to finish or start this on the 1st. So I went ahead and started. I'm saying I'm about halfway into it at this point. It's not a very long book, so I was trying to not fly through it, so I'm not done before everybody else even starts it. But it's one of those where, a lot of people told me I like it because of how much I do love the coming-of-age story. I like kind of, that boyhood meets, adult time period in someone's life where something really tragic happens and it forms the person that they're going to become. That's obviously just like the very description of what coming-of-age is. But with this, it was an interesting start because I really liked the vibes of it. It had very much a Stephen King's The Body, or Stand By Me for you less cultured people who haven't read The Body. But The Body meets Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. It very much felt like a handshake agreement between those two stories with the way it started, up to and including the way things go on some train tracks. So it had lots of things that made me feel that nostalgia, made me kind of feel, some of those things from my own childhood, even though it takes place in the 60s and my childhood was in the 80s. Some of those things just, they know no time limits. There's just things that we all go through as young kids. It was one of those where I was like, I'm really enjoying the slice of life, and I don't really know what the point of this book is. Then about the 50% mark, a big event happens, like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that would make anyone go from child to adult really quick, like overnight. And I'm really enjoying it. His writing style is very, very I would say grounded and charming. I feel like it is very much it kind of gives you that whimsical feeling of what small town America would feel like in the 1960s, and being the son of a priest. It's got to be an interesting life. Or is it minister? I always get these denominations confused. My apology. I'm not doing that to be disrespectful. I just really don't know like what's a priest, what's a preacher, stuff like that. Again, that's a rabbit hole not to go down. But I'm enjoying it very much, and I can see why people have recommended it to me a ton. And it was a nice change of pace after something is messed up, as Prince of Nothing is, because you need it a little bit after that. But I did love that book, and I'm really enjoying this one so far. But that was planned to be in the beginning of my September read, so I am a little bit ahead of schedule there, and hoping I can keep that up. And that leads me, guys, in what am I going to read? Well, obviously, I'm going to finish Ordinary Grace. I imagine I'll finish that first or second day of the vacation here. And then I've decided I'm going to pick up Blood Song by Anthony Ryan. If you watch my most recent TBR video, this is one I kind of took a vote for from some people on Twitter, which, like I said, that's just the best scientific poll ever, is it taken on Twitter. I think it got like 200 votes. But I just basically just asked, should I start Blood Song or should I start Covenant of Steel? I think The Pariah. But I knew I wanted to read an Anthony Ryan book. Now, obviously, before I made those plans is before I knew how much I was going to like The Darkness That Comes Before. So, because I would be doing, The Warrior Prophet this month if I'd known how much I was going to like it. But that's okay, because I've been kicking this can down the road for years here. And I got to thank Andrew over at AndrewsWizardlyReads. I didn't mention it in the TBR video. He's the one who sent this to me because he loved it so much he wants me to read it. So thank you, Andrew. It's finally happening, and I'm super excited about it because I've heard this is one of the best book ones. And kind of, it's one of those things where some people have said, treat it like a standalone because the sequels aren't that great. And I think those things are always going to just kind of depend on you. But everybody said you can very much read this as a standalone if you want to. At the moment, that's how I feel I'm going to approach it, just because I've got so many other series. And that's why I didn't feel like I have any apprehension about picking this up, starting a brand new series. I'm in the middle of so many others because apparently you can't just treat it like a book one. And I'm excited to do it. Sounds very, very cool. Coming of age fantasy. Again, that seems to be the phrase of the week, and I'm excited to start it. How about this week on the channel? I mentioned already my September TBR, all of my reading plans for the month. Am continuing for another month to do the format of one horror, one sci-fi, one fantasy, and one miscellaneous kind of book. And I think that was probably going to be coming to a close here after Halloween. I think I do still have that kind of in the plans for Halloween. And then after that, it's going to get back to, hey, big books are back on the menu, boys. And I think I'll get back to, just kind of reading what I want. Because really, in the end, guys, I like adding all those genres. I do. But I am a fantasy book channel, and reading one fantasy book a month isn't going to cut it when I have the majority of my TBR is, I'd say, 85% plus is probably fantasy books. So I never want to just say, okay, I'm going to limit myself to, a dozen fantasy books per year. It's never what I want to do. But I am glad that I can get some more horror and some more sci-fi and just maybe historical fiction and crime and thrillers and things like that in there once in a while. So I think just being more open to doing those now will be the format I take, at the end of October. It'd be kind of how I look at it going forward. And I have no plans for what I'm going to read in November, except maybe one thing. And we'll talk about that when it gets a little closer. And I already mentioned my Darkness That Comes Before book review. Again, I know you guys aren't nuts about book reviews, but it's a book one. If you've been curious about the series, I think I lay out quite well in there. These are the things I found good. If you find those things good as well, hey, give it a try. These are things I say might not work for you. If those are big sticking points for you, I might go ahead and skip it. So I think I'm very constructive on that, and that it's a very good book that is incredibly hard to recommend because it's really, your mileage is going to vary on that book quite a bit. And I kind of go into it there. So maybe that's just me begging for you guys to actually watch reviews. I don't know. But I think that it's a good place to go if you guys are curious about the series and you want to know if it's necessarily for you or not. How about some next week plans? I do have a couple of things on the little to-do list here. I'm going to be wrapping up the month of August, obviously, picking up my book of the month, which I already spoiled for you. A lot of people don't watch the weekly updates, though, so maybe they don't know. Maybe it can still be a surprise for everybody else. But I would say there was another book that was kind of up for contention. We'll talk about that, as well as everything else that I read in August. What you guys were into watching, maybe some things that, I really liked. Didn't really grab the audience very much, but it's always just kind of fun to look at those things at the end of the month. I know I had planned on doing how I'd done the "Are You Tired of Big Books" video, and I was going to kind of do the counterpart to that was, here's some, if you're looking for some big books, here's like what I call like 5-star clunkers. I meant to do that this week, but I was just so excited to talk about The Darkness That Comes Before. It's why I made that video. So let's go ahead and slide it back to sometime this week. And I might be getting up some stuff, guys, for the Fort Worth events. If you don't know, there is a book signing that's going to be a joint venture between Christopher Rocchio of Sun Eater fame and Ryan Cahill of Bound and Broken. They are going to be in town in Texas, in Dallas, which is about a 3.5-hour drive north for me. And I'm going to be going up there because I am going to be moderating those panels, which is fun. Should be. I have no idea what I'm going to say, but I guess we'll find out. I asked Ryan, I was like, do you have like notes you want me to go off of? Or you want me just to lead a conversation? Because, I can do that. And he says, we're just going to wing it, mate. So here we go. We will find out. But I might try to drop some of the stuff from that. Obviously, I'm not going to be recording it since I'm going to be on stage. But maybe we'll get some moments alone with the two of them and I can record some of that stuff. If not, I know we're going to do some things while we're there. And that'll probably be videos that I put up, the week after I get back. So, I don't know. I don't know how much that'll be on there next week, but really just how that trip goes. We probably won't be getting back home until Wednesday night. So, the week's going to be kind of iffy how it goes after that, but I do plan to get at least the monthly wrap-up and the big books video out sometime next week. But, very exciting to not only finally get to meet both those gentlemen, but to actually moderate a discussion between them. Should be a lot of fun if you guys are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I know that they say the event's sold out, but they always let people in, so I say, hey, check them out if you are in town. Should be a ton of fun. And then Christopher's coming to Houston after, and we might be hanging out in the old library here and talking about some things. I don't know. We will see what happens. Should be a fun week. Got a couple of TV and movie talk things before I go, and even a gaming thing. A lot of people have already been asking me, Mike, are you going to be watching Rings of Power Season 2? No, guys. Look, I watched Season 1 all except the last episode. It was one of those things where if you are enjoying this, is what I tell people who love Wheel of Time. If you are enjoying it, man, that's awesome. If you're enjoying the new Star Wars, that's awesome. I don't like it, so I don't watch it. So I'm not going to sit here and just drag it, and I'm not telling you you're a bad person if you like it. I'm just saying when I watch Rings of Power, I never feel like that's Tolkien's world to me. So it's horrendously slow. I don't really like the direction that they're going with it, and I gave it a legitimate try. I just don't watch stuff that I've got so much stuff I want to watch, and I don't spend a lot of time watching TV to where I'm just like, I'm just not going to waste my time watching something that I'm not enjoying. I'm just not that channel. So again, the reviews, they're pretty middling to harsh. There's been some that are very harsh, calling it still a sloggy, boring mess. And hey, that's kind of why I quit watching in Season 1. So again, if you're loving it, man, enjoy it. Enjoy it. I appreciate that other people are enjoying things. I really, really do. I've kind of been in documentary mode myself. I've been watching several. I've been watching there's one on Netflix called Wyatt Earp and the Cowboy War, which, is just kind of like reenactment / documentary about the whole gunfight at the OK Corral and how it changed a ton of things in America because it's, most famous gunfight in American history and how there was so much more than just that gunfight. It's kind of one of more of those, the Hollywood has shown you that this is what the gunfight at the OK Corral was. And it's like, this is the whole story behind it, before and after and everything involved. And it's a really nice look at it. I'll be honest though, it's kind of hard if you've watched the movie Tombstone a billion times like I have, it's hard to see anybody besides Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer as Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. And that might actually distract you a little bit. But outside of that, it is a very accurate portrayal of things that did occur, not in a Hollywood fashion. So it's interesting. But I really, really latched onto this one called Lover, Stalker, Killer. Now, I think this was kind of, I don't really watch a ton of the true crime docs. That's more my wife's thing. But every once in a while, I'm doing some chores or something like that, and I'm doing the dishes. I just want to put something on Netflix. And I put this one on, and after about 10 minutes, I was so locked into it, I couldn't do anything else. And really, it's about a guy who, he recently divorced, got into the online dating game, which was blowing up in the early 2000s, and shenanigans ensue. It goes from stalking to people ending up dead to your life completely being ruined. And it just had me being like, wow, am I glad I settled down and got married before all that stuff, because it's one of those things that we live in this social media age, and people are so quick to meet people that they meet offline, and it's like, man, just be safe, do some homework, you meet in public places before you let them into the personal parts of your lives, because man, it is scary stuff. And I would recommend that documentary to everybody as a warning what not to do on the internet because it can lead to a lot of trouble, and even moving can't get you away, because in the digital age, man, we are just a couple of clicks away, right? It's very, very scary, but it was a very good documentary. But yeah, it was freaky for sure. I do got one gaming talk thing before I go. A lot of people have been asking if I'm going to get this game, Black Myth Wukong, which, look, I won't lie, I never heard about it until a couple of weeks ago. And then everybody's like, apparently like 10 million people were playing it on Steam at the same time. I love the single player game, guys. I'm a single player campaign person. I'm not a console loyalist. I'll play any system. I don't care about stuff like that. We've got them all. You know, I do some PC gaming, things like that. But with this one, it's kind of the whole thing that kind of stopped me with Alan Wake 2. Is I'm really getting frustrated with this trying to normalize buying things digital only. And maybe it's just I'm just a geezer of a Gen Xer, and I just prefer everything to be physical or what. There's just so many licensing issues and things that happen now where you can buy your game digital. One day they flip that switch and it's just not yours anymore, and they're like, sorry, you know, that's it. So I don't want to reward that behavior. So I think that the game looks awesome. I've heard it's great, and I'm sure it is. But for me, I'm not going to be strong-armed into buying the digital version of your game, if that's either the only way you release it. But then there was a story that came out that the physical release of this game is literally just going to be a box with a digital code inside. How insulting is that? So yeah, is it grandstanding? I don't think so. To me, it's just, I like two things. I like to know that, say, if something's going to be edited or it's going to be taken away totally, I like to have my physical copy to keep it safe and be able to play it whenever I want to. I don't want to have an internet connection either, by the way. But also, if I don't like a game, I like to be able to resell it. You know, that happens a lot. You know, when these games are $70 and you get it and you're like, wow, this was a letdown, or I get bored of it in about 4 hours, yeah, I'll just resell it or give it away to someone I know, you know, that might want to play it. So I like to have those options as well. But this idea of I don't buy for a second, that we're doing that to get down, you know, costs and things. No, you're still charging the same amount for the game as you would have for the physical version. So to me, again, it just feels like they're trying to normalize this. They're trying to normalize digital or cloud-based gaming only. They don't want you to own any of these games because they hold the rights to take it away from you. And that might be like a nihilistic way of looking at it, but that's the way that I look at it. And to me, it just feels like the consumer's losing in this regard. And I'm not going to stand for it on my end. I'm not going to do it. If you do it, awesome. I like it's really cool that people at 12:01, you know, they can have it pre-downloaded and they can start playing the release at 12:01. That's awesome. For me, I've seen too many things going on, like with this Microsoft and Activision and all that Blizzard stuff that kind of went on, and I'm just like, it just any day now, you know, they could flip a switch on something and just say, hey, that's gone, and you just don't have it anymore. And that's just, no, that's not my way. That is not my way. So that's why I haven't played it. But Black Myth Wukong looks awesome. So if they do have a physical release one day, yeah, I'll definitely check it out. So guys, that was my week. What is your week shaping up to look like? Why don't you drop in the comments, let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you are playing. I will talk to you there.